When most people think of valuable coins, they think of rare gold or silver pieces from centuries ago, right? But what if I told you that a coin from 1965, the year that marked a pivotal moment in U.S. currency history, could be worth millions today? That's right, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar, which was produced in huge numbers, hides a surprising secret that could turn it into a prized treasure. Stick around as we uncover the fascinating story of this coin and how it became worth more than its weight in gold. Cue title sequence. The 1965 Washington quarter dollar. How this coin became worth millions. Scene: a well-lit table with different U.S. coins displayed, focusing on the 1965 Washington quarter at the center. The 1965 Washington quarter is often overlooked by collectors and casual coin enthusiasts. After all, it's just a standard coin in the series that features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse. In 1965, the U.S. Mint produced nearly 1 billion quarters to keep up with the demand for coinage during a time of economic expansion. Cut to a close-up of the coin, showing the mint mark D for Denver and 1965 clearly. This particular coin, however, carries more historical weight than just being part of a vast production. 1965 was the year the U.S. Mint made a major shift in the production of its coins, particularly the quarter. And that shift is the reason why some of these coins, especially those with rare minting errors, have exploded in value in recent years. $2 million rarest coins seen, a vintage U.S. Mint footage showing workers at the Mint in the 1960s. 1965 was a pivotal year for American coinage. For decades, U.S. quarters were made from a silver-copper alloy known as 90% silver. However, in 1965, the Mint made a groundbreaking decision due to a rising silver shortage and increasing costs of precious metals. They began producing quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning these coins contain no silver at all, just a core of copper sandwiched between layers of nickel. Cut to a side-by-side comparison of a 1964 silver quarter and a 1965 clad quarter. This change was momentous for collectors, as it marked the end of an era in U.S. coin production. While the 1965 quarter was not made of silver, its historical significance as part of this transition has only increased over time. Scene: a coin collector's workspace, with a magnifying glass over a 1965 quarter. But the real story behind the 1965 Washington quarter's skyrocketing value begins with a rare minting error that occurred during this transitional year. The 1965 quarter, because of its new production methods, was prone to certain striking errors, most notably, the double die variety. Cut to a close-up of a 1965 quarter with visible doubling on the word Liberty and In God We Trust under magnification. The double die error happens when a coin die, used to stamp designs on the coins, becomes misaligned or experiences a second impression after the first one. This results in a doubling effect on the coin's design. In the case of the 1965 quarter, the doubling was often most noticeable on the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and sometimes even on the date itself. Cut to the close-up showing doubling in Liberty and In God We Trust, highlighting the error with digital arrows. When collectors first realized the existence of these double-die 1965 quarters, they began seeking them out, and for good reason. These coins, which were produced in error, are now some of the most sought after by numismatists. Rarest coins seen: a dramatic slow-motion shot of an auction gavel hitting down, signaling a record-breaking sale. So, how much are these error coins really worth? You might be surprised to hear that some 1965 double-die Washington quarters have sold for staggering amounts at auction. One particular coin, in nearly perfect condition, fetched over $1 million in a recent auction. Cut to a screen showing the auction sale of a 1965 double-die quarter with the price highlighted. That's right. While most of the 1965 quarters are worth only face value, these rare error coins are not just a few $100s, but millions in some cases. The combination of R. Most people don't think twice about the coins they find in their pockets or loose change. After all, they're just quarters, right? But what if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 2008 Washington quarter dollar could be worth millions? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of how this coin, minted over 16 years ago, became a sought-after treasure, and why it's attracting attention from collectors and investors alike. So, grab your magnifying glass, because you won't believe what you might find in your pocket. Cue title sequence. The 2008 Washington quarter dollar, a coin worth millions. Scene: a table with various coins, with the 2008 Washington quarter prominently displayed. The 2008 Washington quarter dollar was part of the United States Mint's ongoing series of state quarters, which were released from 1999 to 2008. The 2008 series saw 5 new state designs, and the final year of the program was marked by the introduction of the District of Columbia quarter, representing Washington, D.C. The coin features a detailed image of George Washington, the first President of the United States, just as we've seen on the reverse side of the quarter for decades. Cut to close-up of the coin. The P Mint mark indicates this quarter was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, and while the coin itself looks standard, it's what's rare about this specific 2008 P quarter that makes it incredibly valuable. Scene: a pile of quarters, with most of them looking identical, showing different years and mint marks. At first glance, the 2008 P Washington quarter doesn't stand out from the others. After all, it's a circulation coin. The U.S. Mint produced over 1.6 billion quarters that year, meaning these coins were distributed widely and circulated through millions of hands. But even though it was just another coin in the system, one particular detail makes some 2008 P Washington quarters incredibly rare and extremely valuable. Cut to a close-up of a standard 2008 P coin and then zoom into a slightly different coin showing a clear die error. That detail is a mistake, a minting error that occurred on certain 2008 P Washington quarters. What started as an unnoticed flaw would turn into a multi-million-dollar discovery. Rarest coins seen. A magnifying glass zooms in on a 2008 P Washington quarter showing a doubling effect on the lettering. In the world of numismatics, there's one error that coin collectors dream of finding: the doubled die variety. For those unfamiliar, a doubled die is a striking error that happens when a coin die is improperly aligned, causing the image or lettering to appear as if it's been doubled or layered. The result? A coin with visible double strikes, often creating an unmistakable and eye-catching effect. Cut to close-up of the error in detail, with arrows pointing to the doubled areas on the Liberty and "In God We Trust" inscriptions. Rarest coins. In the case of the 2008 P Washington quarter, some coins struck with this error have noticeable doubling on the Liberty and "In God We Trust" inscriptions, as well as the date, which is a telltale sign of the error. These coins are extremely rare. And when one of these quarters was first discovered, collectors began scrambling to find more. Seen: various images of auction listings and price guides for the 2008 P Washington quarter. So, why is this error so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity and demand. While there are millions of 2008 P quarters in circulation, only a small percentage of these coins contain the doubled die error. The specific coins with this error have sold for anywhere from several $1,000s to well over $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 2008 P Washington quarter has fetched a price as high as $1.8 million at auction. Cut to an auctioneer's hammer slamming down on a high bid, showing excitement and enthusiasm in the room. Rarest coins. This particular quarter, known as the double die averse, was sold by a major auction house, and it set a new record for a Washington quarter, blowing away estimates and putting collectors on high alert. But what makes these coins so special, and why are people willing to pay such astronomical prices? Scene: a close-up of a coin collector sifting through a pile of coin.
Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today, we're going to dive into a coin that you might have passed over many times without the second thought: the 1988 Jefferson nickel. It might seem like just another nickel, But did you know that some of these coins could be worth a lot more than 5 cents? Stick around, because we're going to reveal how you can spot a valuable 1988 Jefferson nickel that could put a lot of extra cash in your pocket. Here it is of the 1988 Jefferson nickel. On the surface, it looks like any other regular nickel, featuring the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the image of his estate, Monticello, on the reverse. However, there are some very specific features of the 1988 that can make it worth much more than its nominal value. Let's break it down and take a closer look at why this coin might be hiding some serious value. $1 million rarest coins. First, let's cover the basics of the 1988 Jefferson nickel. This coin was minted at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the AD mint mark, and was part of the regular coinage series struck during that year. Like most modern nickels, it is made from a copper nickel alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel and weighs 5 grams. It has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, which is the same as most nickels we see today. The obverse, featuring Thomas Jefferson, and the reverse, showing his home Monticello, are the same designs that have been in circulation since 1938. Rarest coins. But what you might not realize is that even though the 1988 Jefferson nickel is part of a regular production run, certain varieties and errors can make some examples highly sought after by collectors. So, let's dive into the key reasons why your 1988 Jefferson nickel might actually be worth a lot more than just 5 cents. One of the most important factors when it comes to the value of a coin is whether it has any minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production of the coin, and these mistakes can cause some coins to be much rarer than others. With the 1988 Jefferson nickel, there are a few key minting errors you should be on the lookout for that could increase its value. $1 million rarest coins. First up, let's talk about one of the most valuable minting errors in the world of coins, the double die obverse or DDO. A double die obverse occurs when the die that stamps the design onto the coin is misaligned or struck multiple times, causing parts of the coin to appear doubled. This is a very desirable error, especially in coins that are already somewhat rare, like the 1988 Jefferson nickel. Rarest coins on a 1988 DDO. You'll see distinct doubling on the date, particularly on the 8 and 9 in 1988. You'll also notice the doubling in the Liberty inscription and possibly the In God We Trust text. The doubling is usually subtle but noticeable when you use magnification, especially on the letters and numbers. So, how can you spot a DDO on your 1988 Jefferson nickel? Here's what to look for. The doubling will appear as a second, slightly offset image next to the original design. It's most noticeable in the date and inscriptions, but you can also check the Monticello on the reverse for any signs of doubling as well. While the DDO is the most valuable and collectible error you'll want to keep an eye out for, there are other minting errors that can add value to your 1988 Jefferson nickel. For instance, die cracks can appear on the surface of a coin when the die used to strike the coin gets damaged. These cracks often appear as raised lines across the design of the coin and can be a unique feature that collectors find interesting. Another minting error you might find is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned with the die during the striking process, resulting in a coin where the design is shifted to one side. Off-center coins are relatively rare and often fetch a premium depending on how much the design is off-center. Welcome back to the channel. If you've ever gone through your spare change and thought, could this coin be worth more than just its face value? Then this video is for you. Rarest coins. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that you might come across fairly often, the 1982 Jefferson nickel. It may seem like just another nickel, but believe me, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. In fact, some 1982 Jefferson nickels could be worth a lot more than just 5 cents. So, stick around, and I'll show you how to spot the rare ones that collectors would pay top dollar for. Here it is, the 1982 Jefferson nickel, featuring Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. It's a coin you might overlook in your pocket change, but don't be so quick to dismiss it. Today, we're diving deep into why your 1982 D Jefferson nickel could be worth a lot more than face value. $1 million rarest coins. Before we get into the valuable varieties and minting errors, let's first take a quick look at the basics of the 1982 D Jefferson nickel. Like most nickels, this coin is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, and it weighs about 5 grams. The 1982 D mint mark tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, and the design features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello, his famous Virginia home, on the reverse. But, as we'll see, there are some subtle yet important differences with certain 1982 D nickels that can make them worth a lot more than the standard 5 cents. One of the most interesting aspects of coin collecting is the role minting errors play in determining a coin's value. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the production process. A small mistake, like a doubled die or off-center strike, can make a coin incredibly rare and valuable. And the 1982 D Jefferson nickel is no exception. Rarest coins. While most 1982 D Jefferson nickels are worth just 5 cents, there are a few that have been found with rare minting errors, like the double die obverse, DDO, die cracks, or even off-center strikes. These errors can make a coin go from being worth just a nickel to being worth tens, or even hundreds, of dollars. Let's take a closer look at the most valuable minting error you'll want to look out for. The 1982 DDO, or double die obverse. One of the most sought-after varieties in the 1982 D Jefferson nickel series is the double die obverse, or DDO. This error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or shifted, causing the design to be struck multiple times. The result is a doubling effect in certain areas of the coin's design, particularly on the date and the inscriptions. So, how do you spot the 1982 DDO? The most noticeable features will be in the date and inscriptions. On a true DDO coin, the numbers in the date, especially the 8 and 2 in 1982, will appear doubled. Additionally, you may notice that the words Liberty and In God We Trust also show some doubling, making the letters look like they have been struck twice. Rarest coins. To make sure you're looking at an authentic 1982 DDO, here's what you need to check for. 1. Doubling on the date. Look at the numbers in the date 1982. The 8 and 2 should show distinct signs of doubling. The doubling might appear as a slight shadow or second set of images next to the primary ones. 2. Doubling on the inscriptions. Focus on the word Liberty and In God We Trust. The letters should have a noticeable secondary outline or shadow, which gives them a double look. You may notice this more clearly under magnification. 3. Magnification helps. While you can sometimes spot the doubling with the naked eye, using a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe will make it much easier to identify these doubled features clearly. If you find one of these 1982 DDO nickels, then you could be holding onto something truly valuable. These coins are definitely worth more than face value. In fact, they can be worth hundreds of dollars. The